So by looking at history, on average, Q4 has historically been great for Bitcoin and cryptocurrency. And even though we are still going through war, inflation, and other macro factors, it's going to be interesting to see if we can actually see a rally for Bitcoin. So today, let's explore all of that. We'll also be looking at the DXY, what to expect for Bitcoin for the rest of 2022, and what kind of impact midterm elections will have on risk assets like Bitcoin. So first of all, this is Bitcoin versus all crypto for September. And Bitcoin itself is down 3%, closer to 4% for September, which for Bitcoin is nothing compared to history. Yet, number of addresses holding onto Bitcoin is at an all-time high again, and 66% of all supply of Bitcoin has not been moved in 1 year, which is insane. And the number of Bitcoin that has been HODLed for the past 5 years is also at an all-time high of 7.5 million. Now let's go over this month-to-month data for Bitcoin in September against all other cryptos and how they've done. Now you can see here Bitcoin against all of other cryptos. XRP is in the dark green, Solana darker green, Cardano is light green, Binance is also light green, and Ethereum dark red, down 15% for the month. Avalanche dark red, and polka also dark red. Now stocks also took a beating for the month of September, and the markets went down below the June 16th lows on the S&P 500. But crypto is up by a lot from the June lows, which is very interesting. But if you look at this heat map, here you can see Microsoft down 10% for the month of September, Apple down 12%, Google down 11%, Amazon 10%, but Tesla is only down 3%. On the other hand, these are the monthly returns including September for Bitcoin in 2022. Bitcoin was down 3%, and at the making of this video, Bitcoin is at 19,300. And the point here is that normally September was a really bad month for crypto. And it wasn't as bad as summer, and remember that we don't really know what's going to happen in the future, but here's where I would consider becoming more bullish. Because the average return for October is around 28%, which would take the Bitcoin price up to $25,000. So we will see if it gets there, but we were actually there not long ago, and I believe that we can easily get back to that level. Now let's go over how October compares to the previous months in Bitcoin's history. And here you can see October is green, and the best month is November, and of course December is usually also a good month as well, which could lead into that Christmas rally that we never really got last year. So Q4, not just the month of October, is bullish for Bitcoin. Bitcoin's Q4 has the best performance by far with an average quarterly return of over 103%. Now October and November have been its best performing individual months with average returns of 24% and 58%. But now, if we were just to look at fundamentals, Bitcoin's hash rate has reached an all-new high, meaning that the security of the Bitcoin network is stronger than ever. So even though the price has been going lower, fundamentals are stronger than ever. And for me personally, you always want to bet usually on that strong fundamental. And now, yes, I'm fully aware of the macro environment right now. It's not the best, but here are also many other reasons as to why we would see that kind of rally in the last few months of 2022, and hopefully end on a good note. So reason number one is China, because of this piece of information. As China tells state banks to prepare for a massive dollar dump and yuan buying spree, as Beijing's prior interventions have failed to stem its currency's worst year since 1994. This also has an impact on the dollar, which has an impact on the DXY, which has an impact on Bitcoin and other risk assets. And again, this just means that China is currently struggling to stabilize their currency. But why is this so relevant for us? Well, because dumping the dollar will bring the DXY further down off the highs. The DXY hit 114 a few days ago, and actually right now, as I look at it, it's under 112. And this just means that the dollar is getting weaker. And when the DXY is strong, people get rid of risk assets, and when it's weak, people will jump into risk assets like Bitcoin and other crypto. But we also happen to be in a midterms election year, which you need to start paying attention to. And this is historically bullish because we could potentially see massive gains from stocks and crypto. See, one piece of good news between now and the end of the year could have a snowball effect on the markets and get things moving again. And that's where midterm elections come in. We could see a few signs of improvements on the inflation data, which would be enough to start a rally in the markets, as it seems like inflation has peaked in June. Now for May 2022, for example, inflation was 8.6% in the US compared to a 6-month moving average of 8%. The latest official statement is expected to fall to 5.7% by the end of 2022, so if the interest rate hikes take effect and manage to calm inflation down, we could already see a recovery in the stock market. And now going back to midterm elections, which happen at the midpoint of a presidential term and usually result in the president's party losing ground in Congress, well, over the past 22 midterm elections, the president's party has lost an average of 28 seats in the House and 4 seats in the Senate. Only twice has the president's party gained seats in both chambers, and since losing seats is so common, it's usually priced in the markets early in the year. And the returns for the S&P 500 index since 1931 shows that throughout midterm election years, the average one-year return following a midterm election is 15%. And the data does not lie. Yes, we could all be saying this is a different year because of everything else going on right now. But also during those past midterm election years, we've had wars, 9/11 happened, housing market crashes, we had recessions, we had pandemics, and all of which at the time seemed like the worst ever. So midterm election years usually start off with a drop and then we rally really hard, and this aligns perfectly with what has been happening now. We had a terrible year so far with risk assets selling off, and I guess we are now in Q4, just in time for October and midterms. And we could also potentially see the Fed pivot on their policy to avoid bad deflation. And this is something that Cathie Wood and Elon Musk have been talking about, stating that if interest rates are increased yet again, then it could send product prices down dramatically. And when consumers expect price declines, they often delay making purchases until they think prices will be going much lower, decreasing the overall demand and overall economy.
Has inflation peaked?
Yes, well, it's very interesting to hear people saying that we'll be able to skirt recession. We believe we are in a recession. The durable goods orders we just saw, really we're seeing the strength there because of activity being attracted to the U.S., a flight to safety. That's why our dollar's been going up as well. Nonetheless, we think we are in a recession. We're seeing tremendous demand destruction. You see demand for gasoline over the summer down to 25-year lows, 1997. Think about that. So lots of demand destruction, and we believe it will continue. We would not be surprised to see deflation month to month sequentially for a number of months during the next 6 months.
Does that mean that you are betting that the Fed eases up in a way that they have not signaled thus far?
Absolutely. I think they do not appreciate how much demand destruction has taken place out there. But this holiday season, I think, will be telltale that way. And so I do think we're looking at a major pivot. If we're right that deflation, and we've been saying this for a while, so consider the source, but if we're right that deflation, both for cyclical reasons and for secular reasons, all we do is look at technology and the cost declines associated with different technologies, and they're massive. So we think that inflation during the years ahead is going to surprise significantly on the low side of expectations.
But still, what we know from history is that markets will recover, and if we do see a pivot from the Fed, inflation starting to come down, then risk assets could recover faster than expected. Unless you believe that's not going to happen, and we will only go down further from here, and we go into a deeper depression in 2023, which many people are talking about right now. But I want you to let me know down in the comments below, do you believe we are going to see a rally for Bitcoin and crypto in October and towards the end of the year? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. And as always, if you enjoyed this type of content, then please be sure to give this video a like and subscribe for more. Until next time.